Hello, I'm Joe Screbbles and I'm at Gamescom and I'm with Simon Cardy, who has seen one of the more mysterious, confusing, surprises from opening night live, which was Atlas Fallen, a new game from Deck 13, who made The Surge. And we saw a cinematic for this, but we didn't see any gameplay. So, crucially, what kind of game is Atlas Fallen?
It is an action RPG. It's semi-open world. It's kind of, takes a pinch of salt, kind of in the vein of a Nier Automata in a way, in the way its world is set up. I'm not saying it's like that game in many ways, but yeah, the setting is Atlas. This is the world, and it has fallen. There's basically this tyrannical sun god who rules over this world, and he's not a nice chap. And basically, the humans' place in this world is they've got to take this essence in the world. So I suppose it's maybe a little like Spice in Dune, and basically donate it to rituals to the sun god to keep him happy. But what happens is one day your character, he breaks free and he finds this gauntlet just somewhere. I don't know where yet. I've not seen a lot of this game, but basically this gauntlet speaks to him, and he has the power now to command sand and wield weapons made of sand using it. And basically this gauntlet says, take me to these places around the world to find these shards. We'll make this gauntlet powerful enough so you can fight the sun god. And that sounds good to me.
I think any action game that has you ultimately aiming to kill a god, it's just a good ending spot for most action games. You talked about the sandy weapons. We saw a glimpse of those in the not sandy weapons, sand weapons. We saw a glimpse of those in the cinematic trailer. How many weapons are there? What can they do? How do you earn them?
I was told about 3 weapons that you can kind of transform at any point and kind of wield on the fly. Despite them being made of sand, I'm not going to get too granular with it, but I'm so sorry. There's a sort of a sword whip, which is the first one, which is kind of quick attacks that helps build up momentum, which I'll speak about in a bit, but also it has the power to crystallize enemies, and that's crucial because then you can switch to weapon 2, which is like a massive hammer, which has a shattering attack, which could shatter enemies that have been crystallized. So you're kind of wielding them, moving them, combining them on the fly. And the third is a big fist, which is kind of strong, quick, but really you only want to use it in one-on-one encounters. It's not good at crowd control or AoE or anything. So you're kind of different horses, different courses, as the saying goes.
And what about enemies? We saw, again, in the cinematic trailer, we saw the sort of lion-y dog guys. Are we looking at beasts, or are you fighting other humans? What kind of threats have you got?
I didn't see, in the footage I saw, I didn't see any other humans as a threat, but there was definitely monsters. Definitely taking a page out of the Monster Hunter sort of beastery. There's kind of the one main enemy they focused on was a giant stone crab who was a guardian of the sun god, and it's interesting because it's almost like Monster Hunter, but it's almost more like Horizon in the enemy design. Instead of just a big health bar, each part of the beast had a separate health meter, so each claw had a separate health percentage and the head had a health percentage, and some of those are mandatory in order to kill the beast, but some of them are optional, and if you get those optional parts down before killing it, you might get bonus loot, which is very much kind of an idea from Horizon.
And you mentioned momentum earlier. What is the momentum system?
Momentum is kind of this sort of something I haven't really seen in any other game. I've seen momentum in game, but the way it's used here is the more attacks you do, the more quickly you chain them together. You build up that momentum bar, and it's not you don't use those AP for attacks. The further you get down it, there'll be points where you unlock attacks that can be used during that fight. So it kind of encourages you to be aggressive, because the more aggressive and quick you are with your attacks, the more different attacks, more powerful attacks you'll unlock in that encounter, which it'll eventually go back down. But the downside of that is the higher your momentum, the more vulnerable you are to damage. So it's a real balancing. And from what I saw of the gameplay as well, the combat looked really smooth. I was really impressed. It was kind of an even faster paced Monster Hunter in a way.
It's a shame they haven't released that gameplay. I really want to see some of this. You also mentioned to me off camera in our lives as friends that there was one more cool element to do with sand that you would love to talk about.
Well, a few of us, IGN, are very big fans of skids in games, you know what I mean? This game kind of takes it to a new level. You can sand surf. So that's kind of your main way to get around this world, is just using that gauntlet to surf along the sand at high speeds and then glide through the air. There's kind of puzzles, exploration in the world. So like you upgrade the gauntlet so it can like raise ruins out of the ground to like help with puzzles. Like there seems a lot going on. Like this is, I don't know, I'm excited, and yeah, hopefully they show off gameplay soon because I think it could be very good.
I am also excited. I would also like gameplay. This is an appeal to you, Deck 13. Release the gameplay. Show us what you got. But for everything else that we will get at Gamescom, less threateningly, keep it locked to IGN, if you please.